I have come to the conclusion as a 70-year-old black man living in America, we cannot fix white people. We haven't been able to fix them in 400 years. We cannot fix them. White people must fix white people. This is what Toni Morrison said. Y'all got to fix yourself. We can't fix you. We have failed. You got to fix you. But we can fix ourselves. That's the most important thing. We can undo over time some of the damage done to us by their insanity. And we are damaged goods. I don't have to explain that to you, right? Just look at our behavior. So we are damaged goods, and we need to work on us.
What's up, YouTube family? Welcome back to my space. This is Ivan Strayola. Guys, on today's video, we want to talk about the insanity of racism. It's so weird that racism has been perpetuated, or rather it has been inflicted, upon black folks for so many years. Let's start it with slavery. Black folks have been enslaved for so many years. After that, we've seen discrimination amongst the black people. And it's just so insane how racism has found its ways over the years. And guys, to speak to us today is Dr. George Fraser, who's a renowned speaker, entrepreneur, and author, widely recognized for his expertise in networking, personal development, and black economic empowerment. His speech, The Insanity of Racism, highlights the systemic and historical roots of racism, its irrationality, and the damaging impact it has on society as a whole. Fraser often uses his platform to inspire individuals and communities to overcome the divisiveness of racism through education, economic empowerment, and unity. So guys, I want you to hear this speech, by Dr. George Fraser, as he discusses about the insanity of racism in America. So once the video is done, we'll get back and do a critical analysis about the same. Let's watch this, guys.
How could an America who could morally, spiritually, and biblically justify the kidnapping, raping, and pillaging of another two people, natives already in America and Africans brought to America, and perhaps had God not sent us to America, America might have self-destructed by now. That's how insane the social construct of racism is, and white superiority. That's how insane. This is an insane. Do you understand that this is an insane concept? The most egregious concept of slavery, because Africans were familiar with slavery, but you were indentured, you were enslaved to work on a pyramid, but then you went home. No. They took it to a whole new level. No, not only are you enslaved, but when you have children, they will be enslaved. And when they have children, they will be enslaved. And you will be enslaved, your whole family, for, about 250 years until it's illegal. That had never been created before. So the concept of racism and the most egregious form of slavery is simple insanity. How another human being can come up with something like that and sustain it for centuries is a clear sign of insanity. I want you to write this down. I want you to go on YouTube today or tomorrow, and I want you to search Toni Morrison and Charlie Rose. How many of you know who Charlie Rose is? One of the best interviewers on PBS. Toni Morrison and Charlie Rose interview. Charlie Rose asked Toni Morrison, what did she think about racism? Toni Morrison, one of the most brilliant minds on the planet, not just black, Nobel laureate, Pulitzer Prize winning Toni Morrison, looked at Charlie with the seriousness of a heart attack and said, "That is the wrong question, Charlie. The question is, what do you think about racism?" Charlie Rose is white. She said, "Because racism feels insane to me." And it is insane. So my advice to you, Charlie, is that white people get therapy. That's what she told Charlie Rose on public television. Y'all need to get therapy. I don't know why more of America isn't talking about this. And leave black people alone and not let your insanity drive us insane. Because that's what you're trying to do. And they have done a very good job. So, I have come to the conclusion as a 70-year-old black man living in America, we cannot fix white people. We haven't been able to fix them in 400 years. We cannot fix them. White people must fix white people. This is what Toni Morrison said. Y'all got to fix yourself. We can't fix you. We have failed. You got to fix you. But we can fix ourselves. That's the most important thing. We can undo over time some of the damage done to us by their insanity. And we are damaged goods. I don't have to explain that to you, right? Just look at our behavior. So we are damaged goods, and we need to work on us. We can fix us. In fact, white folks are not going to fix us. Do you understand that? They haven't in 400 years. Who are white folks going to fix? White folks. Asians are going to fix Asians. East Indians are working on East Indians. They ain't working on you, right? Arabs are working on Arabs. Our Jewish brothers and sisters are working on their issues and their people. That's who they should be working on. So they're not going to fix us. I have a good white friend who said to me, "George, I know what black people's problem is." I said, "Oh, really, Bob? What is black people's problem?" He said, "You spend all of your time thinking about us, and we don't spend any of our time thinking about you." So, George, if you're not thinking about you, and we damn sure ain't thinking about you, who's thinking about you? I had to do the Holy Ghost dance. I had no comeback. I had no comeback. So that's right. So we have to spend our time working on us. And there is much work to do, right? So we'll put a pin in that thought. Look at a very, very short video that speaks powerfully to one of the reasons you must be at the Power Networking Conference in your own backyard. It is a concept that I've been working on for 30 years. And now, I don't know if you know, but I'm the brother that came up with the term connect the dots. Right? I've been saying that for almost 30 years. It's now a very, very popular phrase, but if you read any of my books, the first one to say that, the first one to put that together. So I think Cassandra is going to start this piece, and let me frame it up for you. Just hold on one second, Cassandra. This was a piece I did 8 years ago at Eddie Long's church in Atlanta during the State of Black America with Tavis Smiley. How many of you remember those big all-day programs, the State of Black America? And I was called upon to be on the stage with the likes of Minister Farrakhan, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Cornel West, Michael Eric Dyson, the who's who of Black intelligentsia. And I talked about my concept of connecting the dots. And someone found this on YouTube, because Tavis videotaped it, excerpted the soundtrack from the piece, and then put together a little drawing that illustrated this idea of connecting the dots.
Fam, that was a very, very powerful speech by Dr. George Fraser. That's just but a segment, of a whole speech that he had on the insanity of racism in America. It's funny how racism has been perpetuated, or rather being inflicted, upon black folks for all this time. This journey started with slavery, started with colonialism, even in Africa. They took black folks forcefully, from Africa, took them all the way to the Americas. Some of our ancestors died, on transit. Some of us sacrificed and said, you know what, I won't take it anymore. I won't wait to reach where I'll be enslaved. I'd rather throw myself in the waters deep and die there rather than work for these people. We lost millions of black folk in the process of them being transported, or rather ferried, from Africa to the Americas. The history of slavery is just so I don't know even how to mention it. It's just but something which is rotten, and that is something that was inflicted to us as the black folk. Then from that, the black folk made it to the US. I understand there were some people, who were actually natives and were blacks already in the US. But now I'm talking about the ones that were enslaved and taken forcefully from Africa. They took also the natives who were also blacks and enslaved both of them for more than 400 years. Then after that, we've seen the insanity, that racism has been put upon the black folk. How can America justify the kidnapping, the raping, and the discrimination of two people? The natives who were already in America and Africans brought to America. Africans were familiar with slavery, but they took it to a whole new level. Let me use you, your children, and your children's children were to be enslaved until when it was illegal. Family, black folks went through a lot, from the days, that they were shipped to when slavery was now illegal. But right now, the white supremacists has come up, with a better way, just to ensure that the black folk are still enslaved. What is this way? Racism, the insanity of racism that is being perpetuated to black folks in the modern day and time. Look at the low wages, lack of opportunities amongst our people. That's why Dr. George Fraser always pushes for the analogy of black people to come out of schools, create opportunities for fellow blacks. He says it's time that black folks stop coming out of schools, wanting to be employed by whites. Rather, they should instead study. Once they're done with their studies, try and create opportunities for themselves and other black folk. That way, we can be able to improve as a people economically, because we are being sabotaged with the economy, we are being discriminated. We are passing through a lot of racism. Then the concept of racism and slavery is simple insanity. How another human being can come up with something like this and sustain it for centuries is a clear sign of insanity. How has just racism, being able to be sustained over the years? That with itself is insanity. In an interview with Toni Morrison and Charlie Rose, Toni Morrison was asked what she thinks about racism, and she mentioned it was wrong question. And instead, Toni Morrison asked Charlie Rose, what do you think about racism? Because you're white, don't ask me that question. But what do you think about racism? Because racism feels insane to me, and it's insane. So my advice to you, Charlie, is white people, get therapy and leave us alone. Work on yourselves. Leave us alone. Don't ask me, what I think about racism, but instead work, on yourselves. Work on how you can be able to stop the constant discrimination to the black folk. We cannot fix white people. We haven't been able to fix them in the 400 years we've been enslaved. In the 400 years we've been going through racism. White people must fix white people. It's time that black folks, come together and try to work on themselves. There's no need for us to be fighting the white supremacists or fighting the white folk who are always perpetuators of racism. Instead, we should work on ourselves. They need to fix themselves too. We need to work on us since we are damaged and the white folks cannot fix us. Arabs are always working on fellow Arabs. Chinese are working on themselves. Jews are working on fellow Jews. It's time that the black folk come together and work together as a people. That's why I keep on doing videos, in regards to our black history, what brings us together as a people. We should come together as the black folk and try give each other opportunities, try educate each other and stop the rot of racism. That's how we can be able, to just bounce back after we're being fought with constant racism, us working on ourselves, us coming together, us giving each other opportunities. That's the dream, of the black race in future. Why is racism insane? You'd ask yourself that question. How has racism been able, to be pushed time and again over the years? I did more research and found out this. Why is racism insane? Number one is unscientific basis. Scientific research has repeatedly shown that race is a social construct with no biological basis. Humans are 99.9% genetically identical, making the concept of racial superiority or inferiority nonsensical. Where did this rot come from? Racism is insane. Where did it come from, man? What came to the idea of that white supremacist who thought that it's okay to enslave the black folk? Who thought that it's okay to make the black folk inferior? Where did it come from? There is no any scientific basis. The number two, we have self-destructive. Racism harms not only its victim, but also its perpetrators. It fosters fear, hatred, and division, often leading to violence, economic instability, and erosion of social trust. The number three is the historical lessons ignored. History is rife with examples of societies destroyed by racism, such as apartheid South Africa or the Holocaust. Yet, despite these lessons, many continue to cling to racist ideologies. Some people are not learning, from the history of racism. Look at the apartheid South Africa. It was crazy, man. Then number four, we have the economic and cultural loss. Racism excludes people from opportunities, limiting their potential contribution. Entire societies lost out on innovation, cultural richness, and economic growth when systemic barriers hold groups back. Then number five, we have cognitive dissonance. Racist beliefs often contradict the values of equality and freedom that many societies claim to uphold. This creates a tension that can lead to social unrest and personal conflict. Guys, I want to take this opportunity to thank you guys for tuning to watch this video. The purpose for me posting this video is just to empower us as black folk, for us to come together, create opportunities amongst ourselves. Because the white supremacists will always continue pushing racist ideologies just to divide us, because they are afraid, of our unity. as a people. Guys, comment down below. Let me know what you think about the teaching of the video today. Let me know what you think about the teaching of Dr. George Fraser. And guys, you can also like this video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users. Guys, thank you so much even for tuning to watch this video. I do not take your support for granted. You can also support my work through super thanks down below. And guys, kindly do not watch this video and fail to subscribe, man. Subscriptions help a lot, because now my works will be able to be watched with more and more people. It can be easily recommended also to other people if we continue subscribing, guys. So subscribe. See you all in my next episode. Goodbye for now.